Fundraising, Episode 3 Casino Night. Much like Murder Mystery Night, Casino Night can be so much fun. This is a perfect time for adults to get out and have a good time. And this is one of those nights that might just be a perfect excuse to dress up. The big difference is that Casino Night is a lot more logistically taxing to pull off. There are many more moving parts, as well as pretty substantial upfront cost, potentially. The very first thing you'll need to do if you're considering this type of event is to check the legality of it. Some locales may prohibit any sort of gambling of this type, even if it is a fundraiser. This is definitely an event that you would want to have in a restaurant's banquet room. This isn't really a sit down meal type event, though. It's more of a drinks and hors d'oeuvres event. But utilizing a restaurant keeps you free from any issues regarding alcohol and frees you up from worrying about food and drink services by letting someone else worry about it. Naturally, you can do it at a facility of your choosing, opting instead to hire a company for catering and a company for drinks and alcohol services. However, this option adds to your expense and things that you have to arrange. Why not let someone else have this burden? Like the murder mystery event in episode 2, you'll want this to be a reservation type event so that you know how to plan. You'll need to keep track of things like how many people are being included in a reservation, the name of the person making the reservation, and the names of the people in the party. So make sure that you have a list or a book somewhere to keep track of all of this. You have things to buy and make that will be determined by the number of people who have signed up. You'll need to determine who will be handling the reservation so that you know what phone number to put on the flyer. It may be easiest if the restaurant handles the reservations if they're charging up front, unless you have a way of accepting payments. Either way, this will need to be discussed with the restaurant manager. If they accept the payments, you can do a head count on the night to know how much the restaurant owes you. It would be a good idea to have a short contract to this effect. However, you may want to handle the reservations yourself so that you have more control, which would be ideal so that you know what's going on and your head count at all times, as so much depends on this information. In this case, make sure you have a non-cash way of accepting payments. Also consider that this will be vital on the night if you decide to let people buy additional chips. As mentioned, you'll need to buy poker chips. You'll have to decide how many chips you'll be providing in the cost of the evening. Calculate a price on top of the fee the restaurant's charging. You can ask the restaurant to provide a one alcohol drink voucher and hors d'oeuvres buffet, and you can then set the amount of poker chips people receive to determine the price of the ticket. Guests would be responsible for purchasing any additional drinks on their own. Then, if you'd like to, you can sell additional chips throughout the night, or you can limit guests to their initial amount of chips they start the evening with. Keep in mind that participants are not playing with money for money. They're playing to see who has the most in chips or fake money at the end of the night. Prizes can be awarded at the end of the night for the top few people who have the most chips. There can be cash prizes as well as items and gift certificates. This is a good time when you may want to gather donations from local businesses for items and gift certificates that can be given out as prizes. For this event, as stated previously, you'll need to buy poker chips, so this task will be made easier if you go with the idea of giving everyone the same amount with the price of their tickets and not allow them to buy additional chips. However, in this way, you limit your earning potential. After all, you'll be able to recycle chips as they are lost, if they are lost. If you do limit people to their initial amount of chips, the best way to determine how much to give out is to decide how long the night should last and how much minimum and maximum bets can be. Alternatively, you can make your own chips with your own money. This would certainly cut down on costs, but you may just end up spending as much as you would on the cheapest chips. But you still have to decide how much money to start each person off with. What's enough? $20, $50, $100? Whatever it is that you decide, make sure to provide 3 different denominations, such as ones, fives, and tens. Poker chip sets are often 3 colors, so that will make it easy if you decide to go with store-bought chips. That's a lot of chips to buy, and they are, as of 10/23/25, approximately $4 for a 100 pack of chips. These are the cheapest ones I found. Keep in mind that if you give each person $100 in chips or fake money, you don't have to charge them that much to play. You can divvy out as much as you want for, say, $20. That's $20 on top of what the restaurant will charge per person for the food and one drink. In other words, you could give $100 in chips for 20 real dollars. And of course, if you sell additional chips throughout the night, it would be 10 real dollars per $50 in chips or 5 real dollars per $25 in chips. These are just placeholder numbers. Determine your real numbers as you see fit based on your area. The next expense that you'll have is decks of cards. It's best to get decent coated cards so that they hold up through the night. Again, the number of decks you will need will be determined by how many card tables you have set up, and you may want at least one spare per table just in case accidents happen. Roulettes, craps, and a tangent. You may also want to get a roulette wheel and or a craps table. It all depends on what you can find and what you want to spend up front. But as these are both very popular games, you may want to spend the money. Cheaper ones can be purchased relatively inexpensively. Some people may be happy enough just to play a few different card games. In that case, perhaps it should be a poker night rather than casino night. Whatever you decide, you'll want to make sure that you offer enough seats and enough tables to make sure that everyone in attendance can be sitting at the same time if they so choose. Know that if you charge $30 for the night's events and the restaurant is charging you $20, your profit will be $10 per person. As discussed, does that mean you can only give people $10 worth of chips or fake money? Of course it doesn't. As they're playing for prizes and not money, you can give them as much as you want. Either way, you still have your $10. The more chips your guests have, the longer they can play and the more fun they'll have. So load them up. What would I suggest? Well, every situation will be different, so it's hard for me to say. Having said that, what I will suggest is a minimum bet of $1, a maximum bet of $5, and a 3 raise maximum per hand, and a $5 maximum raise. This will help keep the night going longer, especially if you aren't planning to give out more chips. Don't forget that our dealers will need money as well to start out with. Now, what card games will you play? Blackjack, Texas Hold'em, 5 card draw, 5 card, or 7 card stud? You'll have to make sure that no matter how many different games you have an even distribution of tables for the games. And you'll need to make sure that you have clear rules for each game displayed at each table. Also, you may want charts that show what hand beats what hand. Then, of course, you need dealers who know the games they are dealing. You may be able to hire professional dealers. Alternatively, you can get people from your organization to deal. Also, they will need to know how to pay out and when to collect bets that were made unsuccessfully. Will players be playing against the house, or will they only be playing against each other? Will you hire professionals, or will you use group member volunteers to deal? For some people, casino night can turn out to be a logistical nightmare. They may decide that the amount of money they raise isn't worth the trouble and the expense. On the other hand, there have been some groups who have had successful casino nights and they had funds to gamble with to try to make the money. But if you decide to do it, it can be a lot of fun, and if done right, it can be very profitable. This is something that you can advertise via your group's email list and in the restaurant itself if the manager approves. You can also share the information on Facebook and other social media sites. Check out community bulletin boards and local businesses as well. Remember to list the companies who have donated prizes and co-sponsors of the event on the bottom of the flyer along with the restaurant. This can be a great bargaining chip when trying to get them to provide prizes. In addition to this, you'll need to make sure that you add all the pertinent information on your flyer. Include the 5 W's: who, what, when, where, and why. Also include the H for how to make reservations and how much. And as you will have limited seating, you should include the phrase seating limited, first come, first served on your flyer. If you want a dress code, specify it on your flyer. If you feel I've forgotten anything, or if you have questions or ideas to add, please let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching this course video. I hope you learned something new and valuable today. Bye-bye.